Hello listeners and welcome to Let's Chat, one of many an episode where we have a guest speaker sharing their amazing journey towards a better way of being through a teaching, a practice, or from a passion of helping others through mainstream or complementary healing practices. Today we will be chatting with Sara Brooke, teacher, energy worker and ceremonialist, who supports individuals and groups to come home to their true nature and to re-see their connection and belonging to the earth. Sara works with people worldwide, guiding them to connect to their authentic soul medicine through her one-on-one sessions, powerful group containers, and transformative guided rituals. Her work weaves together energy healing, earth wisdom, and subtle plant medicine. Sara loves inspiring people to reclaim their own power, intuition, and authentic energy so they can create richly fulfilling lives full of meaning and beauty. A therapeutic practitioner and space holder with over 10 plus years experience, people tend to be drawn to the work with Sara when they are going through a significant moment of transition in their lives. The space in between offers an invitation of sacred space filled with compassionate presence, truthful encouragement, practical tools, and grounded guidance to support the collective evolution humanity is going through at this time. Now, listeners, I am particularly love tapping into the power of Mother Earth and am most keen to hear from Sara all about what she offers to help us and how to help us do this. So grant yourself the space to sit and join the conversation here. Let's chat with Sara Brooke. Hi Sara, and welcome to A Better Way of Being podcast. It's lovely to have you join us here on the program.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so good to be here and to connect with you again.
Yes, it's like old times, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Before we dive into everything that you're doing now in your practice, would you mind if we took it back to the beginning? Where did this magical journey start for you that has led you to be doing everything that you're doing now?
It's interesting in reflection. I feel like there's always been a magical weaving, but at the time I didn't realize it's more that perspective when you look back, isn't it? And it's like, oh, I can actually connect the dots now and see that I was actually quite sensitive, or have always been really sensitive my whole life. But for me, I guess the first quite strong spirit initiation as more of an adult came in my mid-20s. I was working in corporate, full on role in corporate marketing, selling gift cards, like very kind of normal type role, matrixy type job. And then on the weekends was equally partying as hard, but loving the dance music scene in Melbourne and finding a sense of community there, and obviously experimenting with different things and having mind-altering experiences, but also was actually in quite a dark space. I'd been obviously doing everything that I thought I should by what society had told me, go to uni, get a job. And so while on the surface there was nothing necessarily wrong, I wasn't connected to myself. I wasn't processing my emotions. And so I had quite strong anxiety, depression, and eating disorder, kept all of that very hidden from the external world. And it was only when my parents divorced that it really, having that support structure dissolve really brought me into a space of initiation where I need to start working on myself, or there has to be more to life than this. Yeah. And interestingly went to a psychiatrist to start with. And I've got no issue with psychiatry. I think it's great for a certain place and a certain time for certain people. But after a 15-minute consult, the guy was like, I need to put you on meds. And there was just something in me. I think that first kind of flickering of that instinct that was like, hang on, I remember thinking, I'm taking all the drugs on the weekend. I don't think I need to be adding more to this situation. I actually need to not be putting things through my body. And so I did go back to him and ended up going to a beautiful, she was almost retired counselor who was just still doing the work because she loves supporting people. So she had that beautiful wise woman energy. And I remember being in her living room, telling her everything that was wrong with me while her little dog humped this stuffed toy in the corner of the room. It was just this universal comedy where it's like, oh, there's all these things wrong with me, and then just that. And then her just looking at me and going, Sarah, there's nothing wrong with you. You just need to start living life for yourself. She then got me meditating, journaling, and that just started to crack open everything. I started going to a weekly meditation circle with a beautiful woman called Diane Collette, who's now one of my dearest friends. But Diane was like that spiritual mama that I needed to help me to make sense of my energy, connecting with spirit, meditating, stilling the mind. And then pretty soon after that, went and learnt Reiki. I'd never even had a Reiki session before. I just knew that I needed to be there.
Yes.
And again, just had a beautiful connection with my teacher, Martine. And I'm so grateful for the women and men, but there's particularly were very significant women throughout my life that have stepped in at moments of transition to lead the way. And definitely with Martine and Diane, having that reassurance and understanding that, one, there's nothing wrong with me, and I just actually needed to learn how to work with my sensitivities, energy, with spirit, after growing up in a family and a society that was like, that's make-believe, there's nothing more than this physical realm, and me being like, whoa, what's all of this that I'm feeling? And the irony, I come from a super sensitive and creative family where I'd say all my family are really intuitive.
Yep.
But have just kind of coped in the society that we're in, that's now very much shifting, isn't it?
Yes, it certainly is. And big time, in a fast way. And it's wonderful that your journey, you've had, like you said, the transition times were starting to come, like at the crossroads. But there was always someone traveling that road ready and waiting for you to guide you to the next level or to the next experience.
Yeah, always. And I think it was Joseph Campbell that's got that quote that there'll always be a helper when we're going through that hero's journey. But obviously with women, we're more attuned to the hero journey. But yeah, when I look back on my life, even though there might have been like moments where I felt very alone and isolated, pretty soonly after there would be someone that would come in and lead the way, whether or not it was someone that I actively sought out or that I just came across their work and was like, yep, I need to work with them. Or just words that a friend or even strangers have said along the way, where it's like, oh, okay, no, this is the confirmation that I need, or that guidance to keep on walking one step at a time forward.
Yes, and being open to acknowledging and seeing that really then brings in so much quicker what you need. And it could be even just a song or a radio announcer saying something. You think, whoa, there's a repetitive thing I'm getting told. Or a magazine. I can remember with a similar thing where I was sitting in a pretty mainstream societal thing, and in a magazine where I would never have thought, it was a furniture magazine, I think, from memory. To see a spiritual ad about something, I thought, whoa, okay, I can't get much clearer. That's what I need to do, because it wasn't the first message of that kind. But to be in such a unfamiliar setting in a furniture book to get this spiritual message, I thought, okay. So as soon as I left that room, I was trying to seek out what I was being guided to do.
It's definitely in those moments, isn't it, that there's an initiation into change. Because it was interesting with even me asking me that question. I think that there's been multiple then calls to initiation where I've almost got to a point of not stagnation, but almost like that, okay, this is where I need to be, this is settled, and might stay there for a little while, only for the whole cycle to kick back off again, where it's like, okay, no, where am I at? I thought I had everything figured out. No, it's shifting. And particularly at the moment, everything's shifting so rapidly.
Yes. Yes, well, because we were talking about that, weren't we, about the time thing. It's, where's it going, or what's coming, and what levels? Because, you know, sometimes I think, well, what is today? And that's not like me. I genuinely,
No.
I know what the time is, I know where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing, and wow, I just don't have that anymore. Um,
No, I've just had moments of, I guess we're all coming more into that spiral time where this moment now is all that there is, which we've always known, but that old linear concept of time is really falling away. We were
yes,
laughing before we hit record. I was like, is this like early onset dementia? Or I
that's
was like,
right.
maybe I partied too much in my 20s. Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
Just because the warpiness of reality and the veils are becoming much more see-through, and
yes,
even my relationship with guides and guidance and being able to vision forward, like my vision. I remember many years ago in my early 30s, all of a sudden my ability to see got blocked, and that was when I was going through quite a deep journey to connect into the womb and Mother Earth. It was like all my reference points of looking up and out to connect to spirit or my higher self literally got blocked, and I got very much initiated into what felt like a depression, which was another dark night of the soul. But there was a rewiring that was taking place to drop me more into the body felt sense, the womb wisdom, and earth wisdom.
yes,
And all the ways that I would receive guidance shifted. And then I'd come out of that and then was like, yeah, I've got a good firm fitting with where I'm at and my spirituality and my beliefs and mythology and all of that, only for a couple of years ago, that all to kick back up again,
yes,
and not being able to even vision ahead. And I was like, oh my gosh, as an energy worker, this is what people come to me for, to help them to see ahead. And if I can't see, and I can't see where they're going, but I think that's the point of the moment, isn't it? We're
yes.
not meant to be seeing ahead and planning and locking ourselves in, because everything's changing so rapidly.
Yes, absolutely agree. It is changing rapidly, and as you were talking, and I just had a thought in which I've spoken about in circles. We're also at a time now where the karmic patterns, or our karma, is being released and cleared.
Yeah.
So we basically and the lords of karma themselves, many years ago, you had to really be sitting in that sacred ritual to even call upon the lords of karma to
Yeah.
help you clear any karmic patterns that you were tapping into that were preventing you from moving forward on your path.
Yeah.
But now it's a quick, can you release
Yeah.
this karma, and it's done.
It's
Oh,
instant, isn't it? And I've just
yes,
witnessed with clients and students that things that took me literally years of blood, sweat, tears to repattern and rewire, they just do it in a session and
yes,
it's done. I'm
and
like,
it's
oh my gosh.
yes, and it's done. And the energy that creates, I call it, as we were talking earlier, not knowing or seeing like we used to see what's
Mm,
coming next. I've just labelled it nothingness, and
yeah.
the nothingness, when you sit in it and be it, is actually very powerful,
Yeah.
because the nothingness, be it darkness, that's how I pretend to see it. But I love the darkness anyway, because so
Yeah.
much can grow from light, you know,
Yeah.
shine so bright in the darkness. But I believe, when we start to, as a world even, begin
Mm,
to accept that nothingness,
mm.
the stillness that is in the nothingness, wow, the magic that's available to you to tap into and just create.
Definitely. And so I mean, many years ago, I called my business the space in between.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is that the void. And it was
Yes,
interesting because as the womb initiations that happened with for me through me over the last few years, there's that sense. I remember a dear energy healer of mine that's helped me through so many moments of change, Bron Evans. She said to me one point, I'm like, oh, it's just gotten so dark, I don't know where I am, I don't know what's going on. And she's like, Sarah, you're in the birth canal, you're back in the womb. That's
yeah,
requiring you to let go of everything that you thought that you knew, and the structures and the ways of perception. And she's like, just be in the womb. And for me, that was such a beautiful mindset shift, rather than fearing that void space or fearing the darkness and being like, well, I don't know what's ahead, and being in a fear and a tailspin, which is what we're seeing happening in the collective at the moment as well, to just surrender into the great mama's womb and be like, it's all right. You know, I don't need to know what's coming next. I just need to be connected to myself and to surrender to what is. Obviously, this is all easier said than done. And I definitely have moments, even we were talking before, where I last night was like, oh my gosh, I can feel the vortex of transformation shifting again. And then the message was just like, surrender, drop into your heart. This isn't a transition to be figured out through the mind.
No, exactly. And I love using the being in the void, that nothingness. And I think you hit on a really good point there, that return within. Because we have been so focused on our external world and fit as a soul, fitting in to this external earth plane world that we've incarnated in. But it's the soul within that's made the choice.
Yes.
And it's made the choice with a full, huge gamut of wisdom.
Yeah.
That with the energy of the ascension of the earth and whatnot, we're awakening.
Yeah.
And it's so new, it's so different that what do you mean I've got this? You know, I can do this myself. We just, like you said, we need to be in that container, the womb, for this experience, and return to self, return to soul. We've got it as individuals, as the light within. We've got it. Yeah, definitely. And I remember Bron again saying to me last year, I was having a tantrum moment, really. It was just like, I've had enough. I'm sick of witnessing what I'm seeing going on with the division and the polarity. It was just heartbreaking for me. And then obviously seeing that within inner circles as well. But she actually read me the Riot Act and really looked at me, and it was like one of those, I could feel the fire, not only of her, but my ancestors and every guy that had been supporting me. And she's like, did you know the orchestration that it took for you to be here at this particular time? Like, don't squander it. Like, you're meant to be here. And I really believe that for anyone that's here, we are really almost privileged to be here at this changing of the ages. Like, we're meant to be. Exactly. And I say that myself, that and we did, you're right, we chose this, and what an honor to be at the start of this moving into the age of Aquarius. We're at the beginning, you know,
the very, very, very beginning. And so what I've had to come to peace with is I'm not even going to see the results of this in my lifetime.
No. What is it, 2,000 years before the next
one? We're at like the very beginning. So just the seeds are being planted. That's it.
And the seeds of and I love and we'll talk about your womb weaving ceremony, because I think it's so you know, just right now. We are at in being birthed into this the element of air, the opportunity to manifest, where so much more opportunity to create what we need to sustain ourselves and the planet.
Yes.
Let alone the universe, because that's all a part of it as well.
Exactly.
It's yay us, really, and everyone for being here and choosing it now. Let's step in.
I know. But I would like to say, and I'm sure you'll resonate with this too, so many people are in such huge trauma at the moment because of the last couple of years and because of all unprocessed trauma previous to that, you know, it's okay to have days where it's just like, this is really hard. And just needing to come back to self and to pull out of having to know everything that's going on in the collective. Like, yes, we want to be informed, but not to get you know, swept up in that very fear-based news cycle constantly, because then we just go into this survival response where we literally are just focused on surviving. And if that's where people need to be, that's where people need to be. But at some point, if you don't have to be in that survival response, then looking after yourself so you can come out of it and then be able to focus on creating the new, because when we're in survival, we can't create.
No, exactly. And it's okay to want to turn off from the world, or it's
100%. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
In
And
fact,
so
it's a
yes,
necessity.
yes, we need to turn off the radio, turn off the television, step out into Mother Nature,
Yeah.
where you can connect with really what is the energy that we need to be tapping into. Mother's, Gaia's here to help us
Yeah.
be nourished once again.
Yeah, I know for me on the days when the lockdowns last year or the last couple of years, because I was in Melbourne, so we obviously had lots. I would just have that days of getting out into nature, even though I might not have been allowed to. I was like, I have to get out into nature to lay on the earth, to be in the sun, to see, the birds and the animals and the flowers, just all getting on with living and being.
Exactly, and I don't know whether you've found this, but I love getting out into nature too.
Yeah.
But when you're open to the healing and the words that are in nature,
Yes.
wow, and I know I can just go out, even in my yard, let alone going out in the ranges where I live. The
Yeah.
animals, they just tend to gather.
Yes.
The birds, all of a sudden, it's a beautiful choir of noise
Yeah.
of birds, and you think, strangely enough, you can tap into them saying, "It's okay, we're here. It's all going to unfold as it needs to unfold for you."
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, that's amped up to be able to just sit in that space
Yeah.
and just let that wisdom come in, because they do. The birds, for me, it's birds.
Mm.
just tend to gather everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the consciousness is shifting, that ability to connect with nature and the spirit within nature is becoming so much more accessible for everyone. If you can just get out there and then turn this off and
Yes.
drop into the heart, that's when all of that beauty will really reveal itself. And I know for me too, and I'm curious if you've noticed this as well, Sharon, that the level of responsibility that I have to take now is quite strong. Like if I whatever I'm focusing on, it's definitely going to come back very quickly for
Yes.
better or worse. So if I'm focusing on growth and looking after myself and compassion for myself and community, then there's beautiful synchronicities and shifts where I'm like, oh my God, I've never felt so good in my life.
Yes.
Equally, though, on the opposite polarity, if I get into a fear spiral, I get drawn into that and it becomes very toxic very quickly.
Yes, exactly. I totally get that it is. We really have to be mindful of what we're projecting,
Yeah.
and think, because we're shifting in, and because our thoughts are energy, and we're actually shifting
Mm.
into a different realm of energy, which is here to help us.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, the more you think positive, I'm going to create, I'm going to have magic surround, and miracles can happen every day. They will.
Yeah.
But it's important, and not to be hard on ourselves because I too wake up, oh, not another day, but okay, then I quickly turn that around. And it's okay to think that the
Yeah.
moment that you do recognize that you're on that spiral of being caught up again, gives you the opportunity to get out of it.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
for me, sitting with and moving through the grief of everything that's being let go of has been really important, because if I am not letting myself feel the grief, then I'll go to like drinking too much wine or emotionally eating or
Yes.
other coping strategies. It might be okay for a little while, but over the long period of time, it's like, okay, isn't actually beneficial. And we all did what we needed to do over the last couple of years to cope with everything that was going on.
Yes.
But to be able to have the practices where you can drop into the body, feel what needs to be felt. Like I've had days and minutes of feeling the most acute grief, and then literally straight after, like so much love and so much
Yes.
beauty. So it's such that I think there's initiation of these times to stay open-hearted, even when looks like there's so much chaos and pain and upheaval that's actually always been there, but I think we're just so seeing it so clearly now.
Yes, yes, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with stepping into the grief or the negative stuff, because it comes up, the anger and all the rest of that.
Yeah.
Because by allowing it, and in a, dare I use the word, celebrate it.
Yeah.
Because it is a part of our yin yang. It is a part of our shadow and our light. The more we just honor it, the less control it seems to have.
100%. And I think we're here at these changing of the ages, which sounds very like fancy and amazing, but it's really hard work. It's terrifying.
Yes.
We have to grieve what we're letting go of. And it's okay to, grieve the many, many things that we're letting go of. Because I think we all intrinsically know that life is never going to go back to the way that it was pre-2020. And I was, I can't remember which astrologist it was that I was reading this on her page the other week, but she's just like, people kind of feeling like, oh my gosh, everything's changed since 2020. And she's like, well, you just needed to speak to an astrologer. We told you that these times of change were coming, but it's one thing to know that. And then it's another thing to live through that and to have gone through more change than any generations prior to now.
Yes, exactly. And we are, in a sense, whilst it may not feel like, we're building an inner power of survival, of learning, and of great change.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're, if you want, the warriors at the forefront.
Definitely. And I think that need for community, which we all know the importance of community, but now that's just becoming stronger and stronger and stronger, to have that like-minded community, so that if you are having a bad day, you can share it with other friends and family members or whoever's in your community kin of, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm going crazy today, or this is happening. It's like, me too, you're not alone. No. And then I think as we move forward, that's one of the things that I do keep getting shown, is that need for community for perhaps very physical, tangible things, as lots of things are getting disrupted in our supply chains, and even like the cost of fuel at the moment, like that need to kind of band together and do things in a very different way to what we have before, is we're going to have to do that. Well, I mean, we already are.
Yes. And I find in my community here, it's been wonderful to see. We're all sharing our veggies. We're all sharing the project, because it's a country community, and it's just wonderful. To see a little girl walk up with a little wheelbarrow of her produce. Would you like some of this?
Oh my gosh.
And do that exchange. It's something we haven't done for a long time.
And it just makes me feel so happy feeling that, because it's like celebrating in Mother Earth's bounty, and we don't need like all of the veggies that we grow often and the way that they grow. It's like, wow, I'm not going to get through like however many tomatoes.
Yeah, that's right.
And to be able to share and trade and collaborate, I mean, that's the way nature works. So we are nature, to be coming back into harmony with that. So it's these stories that give me hope, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah. And counterbalances all of the other stuff that we hear about and see.
Yes. And even some of the shops, or one in particular, has used to, and it's back now, a trolley out the front, where people they come in, they leave some cucumbers or whatever they've been growing, and it's just to help yourself exchange thing. And if it's not fruit, it's books, or it's novels, and it's just, I guess we're almost getting back to what we used to do in years gone by. Simple is powerful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Simple is the best.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Now, well, Sarah, we haven't even touched on your sessions yet. But we've perhaps if we go to your one-on-one sessions, then we'll talk about some of your ceremonies that I'd love to hear about.
Yeah.
So your one-on-one that you offer, your soul medicine healing, what do you do? What's involved?
That is sessions where, look, I work with a lot of people in transition, so it's fitting that we're talking about all like the whole collective going through a transition. Yes. But that has always been, people will tend to find me or be linked up with me when they are going through moments of significant change or transition, either those transitions where they are being initiated into it from within or circumstance, or they're seeking it out and they're like, you know what, I'm really ready to shift this. And I particularly work with a lot of women, mainly a few men as well, that are very much ready to connect to themselves and deeper aspects of themselves, to be more loving to themselves, to step into greater self-confidence and self-worth with themselves. As tends to be a lot of the reasons why people come. I get a lot of women that are really wanting to step into their fertility, whether or not that is wanting to conceive a child, but also just a woman really wanting to step into her own fertility and creativity in a different way to the ways that we've been conditioned. And so the soul medicine sessions provide a space for me to weave all of the different tools and modalities and techniques that I've learned over the many, many years. But I, at the beginning of the session, will always support the client or listen to where they're at, and we'll seed a strong intention for what they're and how they're wanting to feel after the session. And then I'll sit with them, and the majority of my work at this stage is online now, and helping them really reweave their energy field and to clear out what's needing to be cleared out, whether or not it's internal patterns from childhood or ancestral patterns that need to move, so that they can embody more of their authentic essence. So more of who they've come here to be, beyond what the world's kind of told them to be in that conditioning, because that can always be such a point of tension.
Yes, and in a conflict.
Yeah. So it's a combination of belief and mindset work, lots of energy movement and shifting, emotional release work, and whatever else needs to come through in the session.
Wonderful. Yeah, sounds amazing. And the energy from the healing energy that's coming through, that's shifted, that's changed too, hasn't it?
Definitely. So for many, many years, as you know, and some of the people that will be watching this knows, I taught Reiki for over a decade. And Reiki was one of those spiritual pathways for me, and even my whole cosmology of how I believed energy and spirit and everything to work. And it was incredibly powerful and beautiful for all of those years. But the last couple of years, I just kept on getting the message, you're going to need to stop teaching Reiki. And I was like, what? No. But it just kept coming increasingly obvious anytime I was doing a one-on-one session or even teaching groups Reiki, that the ways that we work with energy are moving and shifting and evolving. And I still think Reiki is hugely beneficial for, again, certain people at certain times, but I knew I was being called out of that space, and to support people to come more into rhythm and harmony with Mother Earth, to really ground. And things that are really exciting me at the moment are more embodiment techniques, like how can we help people to feel safe in their bodies? Because once that's taken care of, the rest of the stuff shifts anyway.
Yes, exactly.
And working with elemental energies. I love working with subtle plant medicine, so subtle plants like rose, hibiscus, lotus, and particularly with women, supporting them to connect with those energies, because I find with the flowers, they help us to bloom in our authenticity. But I also love working with trees. I've got a real call this year to start doing more ceremony and retreats on land, because when we're outside in the elements, you know, that's how we're meant to be working with healing.
Exactly. And yes, it's been great to be able to still get out there online. But I think when that's done its time, we to get out and connect back with nature, and like I said, the flowers, the blossoming, will be able to happen even more intensely. And we're ready for it. As souls, we're ready for it.
Definitely. And I think also with the one-on-one work, I think people can have amazing experiences one-on-one. My other real great love is group work, though, and working with small to medium-sized groups over a period of time. So one of the blessings of lockdown was obviously being forced to do things in a different way, but it allowed me to seed new bodies of work, which was an amalgamation of working with women for 10 years, seeing the similar patterns that would come up, the similar wants, needs, and desires of what a woman kind of wants to move through and journey, and how she wants to connect with herself. So I do small groups. I call them the plant pods. So it's working with a different plant, but the plant really is just in support of that woman going through her own journey. One is called Reflection, and it's about going within. That's connected with Lotus, Blue Lotus, because she's amazing for nervous system healing, calming and soothing, and connecting to the soul self. I do a journey with Hibiscus, which is more around body love, connecting to the earth, sensuality, pleasure. And then another one that I'm working on at the moment is working with Rose as the lover. So we're really focusing on heart healing, womb healing, but they get little fun rituals to do daily that only take a couple of minutes. But when that consistency is then there over the month or the 5 weeks, real shifts happen.
Yes.
So I've noticed that obviously after we have a one-on-one session, there's always going to have to be a period of integration. And if we don't give ourselves that space to integrate or run on to the next thing, often we'll miss the gift, or we don't quite lock in that energy work.
Yes, exactly.
So that's why I love these, because I can take people through that journey, and it's a bit like having a retreat at home as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
and you're so right, we do need to integrate, and I think the past has seen that jumping from one to another but it's so important to have that space in between.
Yes.
Do I say I don't? Yeah, that space in between. Yeah, to create the healing and the release and the fulfillment with what you've just learned. And the first two flowers, the lotus and the hibiscus, are just my favourite.
Yes, you're another hibiscus woman that I absolutely love that connection.
Yes, and I like the lotus flower. And my one of my mindful practices that I like to do is actually, and it's the only thing I can do in origami, is to fold lotus flowers.
Oh wow, aren't you clever? That's amazing.
It's the only one, but the lotus flower is so much, because it is the only flower that has the male and feminine energies, and if for some reason I'm drawing to that, but my all-time favourite, yes, is the hibiscus.
The hibiscus, yes.
Oh wow! So we have touched on the fact that you are a ceremonialist. I said that word.
Yes, you did.
I've been practicing it. So can you tell us a bit more about those?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think the word ceremony is thrown around a lot now, and on one hand, I think it's great that we're coming back to that roots of ritual and ceremony, and we're needing that. But it is good for, I guess, me to clarify what I mean by ceremony, and when I'm doing a ceremony space and how that's different from a circle, because even obviously we can come together in circle, and that's amazing.
Yes.
When I'm using the word ceremony, that is me in collaboration with my spirit team, my ancestors, the land elements, creating a sacred space specific for that moment in time, that group. As the group comes together, the ceremonial space is always number one priority, is a space to connect to soul, to self, but to also have your soul being held in a safe energetic space as well. Because I think sometimes there can be spaces that are created out there that might on the surface look clean, but energetically they're not, because there's like a million different spirits in there. So I received training over the last 4 or 5 years. I've been working with shamanic energy training, which is it's like a living mystery school is the best way I would describe that, run by Sharon Bolt and connected into the White Dragon lineage. And that is a mythological lineage that helps people to connect to their mythological self. So doing the training with them has been life-changing and amazing, but has really upgraded the ways in which that I can hold ceremonial space, that I now know, how to call the spirits in safely, the spirit etiquette, energy hygiene, things like that, so that those spaces can be really beautiful spaces for people to come and to connect to their inner divinity, Mother Earth, the plants, but most importantly themselves in a sacred space. And then when we're in ceremony, it's very intentionally coming out of linear time into that spiral time of no time.
Yes.
That's why in those ceremonial spaces, the healing and the creative energy flows throughout time. So often people will already have massive shifts before they even come and sit in ceremony. And then for many months, and in some cases years after the fact, they're still feeling the ripples, whether or not they acknowledge that or notice, oh, that was because of that ceremony.
Yes.
But that's ultimately what we're trying to create when we're doing those ceremonial spaces.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I am such a strong believer in creating that sacred chamber when you're holding space, because you're right. There are so many spirits in a space, energy in a space. Wherever we go, we're leaving a bit of our light. And so it needs to be, and it has a power of its own, but it needs to be, when you're creating, I love what you're doing with your creative ceremony, we need to be able to step into a place that is void. So we can tap into our own void. To have those clearings. But you're right, and that can happen weeks before you're even having your ceremony, doesn't it? You need to amplify that energy, that holding vessel, for people to step into and be clearly held with their release work, what you're helping them to bring up and connect. And that is fantastic to even hear. You speak about that, because I have always believed in that, and some of my workshops, as sounds like what you do as well, in my own way, I could be for months sending and creating a vessel in that space before I'm even there. I always like to, yes, you can remotely view something or distance, but I really like to try and make an effort to get to the space well beforehand and check it out, and then know what you have to clean, so to speak.
Definitely.
And what to open, what to close. So when you do have souls come to you for your ceremony, for your practices, they're already in what's going to be the best space for them.
Definitely. And I think one of the things that I've only really in the last year or so very much acknowledged, and this is a deep love and gratitude to my teacher Sharon, who's constantly kind of instilled it within me as well, is I'm about to start a Wheel of the Year journey called Wheel of Celebration, and it's based on a body of work that is Sharon's, which I'm so stoked that I'm able to now share. But you know, the focus of those seasonal ceremonies are actually going to be to show up and meet the season with no even massive intention setting. Like, I know sometimes in the West we can be like bit grippy grabby with the spirit world, where it's like, I want this and I want that, and I'm going to release this and I'm going to heal that, and we're not doing any of that. It's like, no, let's just show up in sacred space, in honor, appreciation, gratitude, and celebration, and then let's just let it go and see what happens. Because for me, when I show up to the spirit world not hungry, I receive the deepest nourishment and exactly what I actually need. But I'm not showing up with that reason. It's kind of like if we're catching up with a friend and it's like, oh, I want this from them, I want this from them. You're like, then that annoying needy friend where they're like, she's so needy.
No, exactly. And when you get out of expectation, you can get the best.
Yeah, that's when the magic happens. And I think obviously the theme of the chat we've been having around being able to be in that void and surrender to it, we're going to be nourished by exactly what we need, by the great mother energy, in a way that our little human minds would never be able to even know. I used to teach vision board workshops for many, many years, and I love them. But and look, as much as I tried to often get people into their hearts and wombs and just to receive what they need, people would come in with like magazines and photos, and I want this and I want this car. Or I remember a girl putting a massive photo of Ryan Gosling down, and I was like, oh my gosh, like you just see it all. And there's nothing wrong with dreaming and like all of that. But it was just interesting. I could see even back then, I was like, no, this isn't what their souls actually want for them. This is all of the programming of society going, you've got to have this, then you'll be happy and fulfilled. And there's plenty of people out there that are very rich and have all of those things that are desperately unhappy because they're not living from soul.
Exactly. Wonderful. And to use the power of the seasons, I'm so loving that. You'll get what you need that is right for you in the growth of the season. So is that your excuse me, the
Wheel of celebration.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, because when we work in with the seasons and celebrate them and honor them, and it makes me think of what you were sharing about your local community with the little girl like gifting the cucumbers and things like that. Like that's what we're being drawn back into, but that's what the ancient communities would be doing if they were coming and celebrating equinoxes or solstices or the other seasonal holy days that's what I call them. It was very much in honor of the land. Thank you, Mother Earth, for, Lammas, like let's bake loaves of bread in honor of the Great Mother. Thank you for all that you've provided over this season of growth.
Yes.
And then as we're coming into autumn equinox now, that was a time of our gratitude, but starting to let go, gathering the harvest and preparing for the winter. And praying like crazy that they would survive the winter, like actually survive, that they'd have shelter, enough food to get through. And then coming into spring equinox and then Beltane, which comes after, that's fertility time, where it's like, let's pray that the garden grows, the veggies grow, that humanity grows, like that people conceive and have babies.
Yes.
So with all of those very the things that we all need to thrive as humans, not I want a Ferrari or not that anyone that comes to my group want that, but you know what I mean? They're very outwardly, I need all of this extra stuff. When humans we're such simple creatures, we actually don't need a lot.
No, exactly. And I don't know whether, what's this like for you, but I actually find celebrating or being reunited with the seasons is also reuniting with your soul season, because I was coming into being born like in April, so the cooler weather and which I love the colder weather, and to me tapping into the seasons in that way is like the womb cycle, when as we've incarnated our soul seed is within your mother's womb. I think that's very important. Or for me it has been, because I'm coming to life energetically or solely now, because I was about to be born in a few weeks' time, so to speak. So I think that, like, you're getting out of the traditional programming of the different things we celebrate, can get back that far into
definitely
seasons.
Because when we are in tune with our own inner seasons and cycles, we just flow with more ease rather than resisting certain moments. And I also really feel that we have soul cycles, like we go through different initiations, like the dark night of the soul is a winter season for someone, and then there's other moments in life, like my brother and sister-in-law just had twins, so I'm an auntie for the first time, but I've just witnessed them and they are in spring. Like they're all just in that beautiful spring season of celebrating new life and the beauty of new souls being on earth, which is just, that brings so much love and delight. And then there's other seasons that we go through where, I think collectively we're in an autumn. We're still letting go of the old age. We haven't really quite even dropped into the void yet.
No, exactly. And as you were saying that, an image came to me in regards to the autumn. A lot of the trees in my yard here, particularly the mulberries, would have really started to lose their leaves, but they haven't. They're still grasping on.
Well, the seasons are shifting, aren't they? They're what we've known traditionally as the markers. It's all moving around and in flux. I mean, we were talking before you hit record, just in Melbourne and Adelaide, it's so much more humid than what any of us remember in our lifetimes. Like the weather patterns are moving and shifting as well.
So and being able to hold the space like you do and witness with your cycles in your ceremonies and what you practice will just, I think, add a level of understanding at a point where we just haven't been there before. With appreciating what's unfolding. Without sort of grabbing a book and what's supposed to be happening now.
Or relying on someone external, like what's this guide or this channel telling me, where it's like everyone's in a very different soul
Yes.
trajectory at the moment about what role they're needing to play and how they're meaning to show up. And I just know from, witnessing the women and men that will come in ceremony, the one-on-one or in the groups, when they leave, they're just so much more settled within themselves and in the moment, just to be like, oh, okay, whatever happens, I can trust it, or I know that I've got within me what I need to deal with whatever's coming up now, and then now, and then now.
Exactly, yeah. And that itself has a ripple effect. When we can come from that sense of understanding of self and knowing and being fully in alignment with your soul and your soul path.
Yes.
One, the peace that it creates for yourself. And that ripple effect, like I said, spreads out to your family, your friends, your community. And if we're all doing it, oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, it would be absolute magic. Like that the highest aspect of the Aquarian age, it is that energy, isn't it? The humanitarian efforts and everyone coming together and being able to remain an individual, yet being in a group. And I think that also, when we're just minding our own business and just focused on our soul path, things like competition, comparison, that stuff falls away and we can really step into the abundance. But look, humanity's got a long way to go and many different choice points of where or not we end up there or not, because obviously the shadow of Aquarius is all of the technology and what happens when we become very disconnected from nature and like in the metaverse or constantly on our phones or on our screens. And so that is also why I'm really passionate around people gathering in ceremony, no phones, connecting.
Exactly. And it's so important because I can almost see with the story of Atlantis.
Yes.
With that shadow side, with such great developments in technology, it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
But for that, it sunk a whole existence. We're there now.
Definitely.
I've been doing work in the schools and to see so much technology. The kids are bringing their phones into schools, and as much as they're told not to use them, they're just a total. We've been placed in this distraction. It's time now for us to make a decision. To get out of the distraction. Technology, use it, but use it in its fullness to create the abundance that we need, not the destruction that it is creating. Wow, goodness. Wow, we've touched on some huge topics there. I love it, and so naturally. So we've mentioned the womb weaving. So what do you do with that?
So the womb weaving ceremonies are a one-on-one interaction with me and the participant, where I get them to fill out a questionnaire which has got questions where they can reflect on their womb story to date. So that includes things like, do you know about your own birth, like your own incarnation? How, if you've had children, how are the births of your children? Because often women can hold on to a lot of trauma from the births. How was your first period experience, your first sexual experience, like the first of however we've gone through things often then sets the foundation for how we then relate to these things moving forward. And a woman's womb is not only a space where she may or may not birth a human child in this life, but it's where you birth absolutely everything in your life. And as with everything, there's the physical womb, and then there's the energetic womb, which actually also holds a stargate, which connects us multidimensionally as well. Now, women's wombs, we can hold on to a lot of stuff in that, particularly those of us that are the midwives of the community, or the helpers. So people can be in our wombs, ex-lovers can be courted into our wombs, and then that creates an energetic leak. Sometimes past loved ones, when they're transitioning, can end up in women's wombs because they're looking for that safe space and not knowing where to go once they die. We can hold on to spirit babies, the energies of abortions, miscarriages. You just think about everything that the womb goes through. But if the womb is holding on to all of the old energy, then we keep on creating the old, or we feel stuck or stagnant, or there might be physical issues with the menstrual cycle, or hormones or cysts and all of the things that can happen to a woman's womb. So the womb ceremonies are an opportunity to honor everything that the womb has gone through, to receive clearing work, healing work, and then ultimately a blessing for your womb, which is often when the ancestors will come through in the ceremonial space and do the blessing. It's so beautiful, so that that woman can then walk forward having more sovereignty of her womb space, because that's, our wombs are for us to create and rebirth ourselves first and foremost.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
then if every woman's womb was actually clean and clear and open, again, there would be a massive shift of consciousness on the planet.
Oh, so much so, so much so.
Yeah.
The power that is within the womb.
Yes.
And again, like you said, it's not necessary that you have to have born a child.
No.
But there's so much more about the energy womb, the physical womb, that we just haven't tapped into.
No. And I think we're, once we can get to that point of just clearing out of the old and the past and a lot of the ancestral trauma that will sit there, like I've seen it within women when their wombs then open and they are able to birth more of their authentic self and get on with their soul mission. Like they go on to create such beauty or impact and change, but it is that feminine power that's so much repressed by our current society and the patriarchal systems.
Yes.
So it is a beautiful way to add to that revolution and the letting go of the old ages by really looking after and tending to the womb. So that's what the womb weaving ceremonies are all about. So again, some women will seek it out if they've got specific womb issues, or they're like, I want to heal this, or they're just ready to make a significant change in their life. Because the womb work, it's interesting. Women only will come across it when they're really ready. So I'll work with a lot of women that have done a lot of heart healing. They've done a lot of mindset work, but they haven't been quite ready to drop into that primordial, primal self.
Yes, and when you guide in the one-on-one sessions, I don't do the womb weaving, but when you guide someone into what's going on within the sacral, within that area, and you can start talking about different things that may have happened, whether it's in this lifetime or through past lifetimes, or in history, ancestral lifetimes. I have found just mentioning a particular thing like the energy of a miscarriage. I haven't had a miscarriage. That's the person saying, you haven't, but the energy pattern of it is held within the womb. So when you can clear that, or work towards clearing that, that may go towards helping with pregnancy in this lifetime, or
definitely
birthing something. So sometimes the healer, as what you do in your in the practice, is just perhaps even seeing it and bringing it to the forefront of someone who doesn't know what's going on, but they just they know something is, can do so much to helping us be reborn through our own womb healing.
Definitely.
Oh, that's to hear you say what it is. You can hear the energy and the power of it.
Definitely.
And to awaken that goddess through the womb. For ourselves, because our souls incarnate. My belief that the souls incarnate through the umbilical cord. Any trauma that's picked up, any of the we're holding this vessel of another soul within you, can also leave an imprint. So like the energy might be left behind. So to step up and be able to clear that and just let I sometimes often get the visualization of a creek. The water's flowing, but then there's this debris. We can visualize it, or I see it as the leaves, the twigs that have gathered up, and there's the water's just not flowing.
Exactly.
Because of all the cobwebs or the stuff that's holding it back. You clear that, and allow that flow, the water to cleanse and clear is just magic. What you
so powerful.
Well done. Excellent. Fantastic. Well, what haven't we covered that you do? Your soul medicine ceremonies, your womb weaving.
The only other thing that we haven't mentioned that I also run, and this is again another body of work of my teacher Sharon Bolt's, is Dream Pod. So I dream with a group of 13 dreamers, and we dream together for 33 nights, working with a specific dreaming plant, which I reveal to the group when we open the container. But I love that too, and I find that the dreaming work and the womb work, they fit really strongly together, because the more open a woman's womb is, the more that she's able to dream and to connect into the dreaming realms and become awake in the dreaming, so they can become creators in the dreaming realms, as opposed to just often when we dream, we'll dream in that, and there's nothing wrong with this, in our subconscious or in the astral realms, and we don't get to kind of really move through that to become more awake in the dreaming realm. So look, that journey is a seed planting expedition. So, you know, sometimes things will crack open for people, sometimes not. But I know that by them laying those seeds over those 33 nights, their dreaming gifts will just continue to evolve over their lifetime as they're ready, because there's this divine nature timing with everything.
Yes.
Yeah, but I love that work as well. And that's not just for people that consider themselves dreamers. It might be for people that just have an interest in dreaming and dreaming work, or they've had issues with sleep and they're wanting to heal that space, because again, there's so much untapped power and potentiality in the dreaming work.
Yes, I was just going to say that, because if once we tap into it, oh my goodness, the dream realm in itself is a whole library of information, isn't it?
It's just absolutely epic. And I think there's so many incredible Indigenous cultures across the world that know the power of the dreaming realms and very much honor it as another aspect of reality, rather than just not the importance that the Western culture won't even place any importance really on dreamings, because they know that when we can go into those realms and plant seeds there, that then impacts this waking dream and waking reality.
Exactly. You're right. And to be able to, by the sounds of it, dream pods, it is so important to do it understanding that there is some power in there, and to know how to do it safely.
Yes.
How to anchor yourself, how to bring yourself back, how to bring what you need back and leave what you don't need in that realm of dreams.
Yeah, and the other really beautiful thing, and I think important thing with the dreaming work, is when we're doing the intention setting in the dreaming realm, there's personal intention. So we get to call in some juicy stuff for self, but also for the collective. So we're doing collective dreaming work where, depending on how the group goes, like people start dreaming of each other in their dreams, and we do dreaming missions. Like if there's soul rescue work that needs to happen, all of us as a group will go there. So it's always more powerful, obviously, to do things in a group and more supportive, even though many of us do this individually as well, and to connect to soul family in the dreaming realms and just the ripple effect that then takes place. But it is that, you know, powerful place where we can be in service to the planet as well as for us. So that beautiful win-win energy.
Yes. And the layers within, we've got plenty of layers within us.
Yes.
Yeah. And the layers within a group, the layers within the dream state. Wow. Yeah. So do you start that off, is that like online, or you meet?
Yeah, we do it online. So I do it similar to the other pods, where we've got an opening and a closing ceremony to start and end the container. And then there's a group where we all connect and share our dreams every day, and people can ask questions. And then again, there's a daily ritual just to really lock everything in.
Yeah, wonderful. Goodness, you have a lot that you're on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
But it's fantastic. And it sounds like it's got flow.
Yeah.
And that is wonderful. And it's all of such a now necessity, now needing, with the earth, the growth, the stepping into the possibilities that are untapped at the moment.
Yeah. And so while I've been in the birth canal like everyone else, and it was very scary to let go of what I'd known, I've just again seen that within my own clients and students and friends and family and community, that the more that we can let go the old ways, the new ways are actually being very powerfully supported.
Yes.
I'm just noticing with myself and even with others, if we're clinging onto those old ways, it's becoming increasingly difficult to stay holding on.
Yes, because it is the time is right for us to have all the beauty in life.
Yeah.
You know, without the struggle that we're
Yes.
self-imposed, programmed, or however it's been imposed on us.
Yeah.
Let's get into the beauty that's there, that's here.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be hard here on earth.
No, that's the old like age of Pisces energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It doesn't at all. You know, the heaven on earth, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, and I've had more moments of bliss over the last couple of years than I think I have over my whole life. But it is interweave with like some incredibly difficult days and lots of grief and, you know, all of the feels. But yeah, there's definitely magic to be found. But it is like looping back to what you said at the very beginning. It requires that letting go of what's going on in the external world and dropping within.
Yes, and trusting within. That's what we've got. That's what we came here with.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Oh, it has been so just I don't know, enormous speaking with you and chatting. I've loved it, but we haven't even talked about all the wonderful product that you've got on your website.
Yes, I have just a small range of things, and again, that's in flux like everything else. So I sell, as we're coming into the cooler months, I sell these beautiful blankets that I call my Reiki blankets. So I bless them up before sending them out, but that's also great if someone's wanting to work with a different color, because there's a lot of different colors within the blanket range. They make nice gifts for people as well. And then just other little products that I've found over the years that I just really love. And it's just been good to have them there for clients and students to just go, you know, this flower essence or this remedy is really good. So there's some vibrational essences on there. I'm a massive fan of incense. So there's a few different nice incenses on there as well. And then all my digital product range. So there's some guided rituals, some online downloadable meditations, and there'll be more courses and short courses and things on there as well in coming months and years too.
Wow, where do you have the time to fit it all in? Oh, time, there's that word.
Yes.
Oh, so how can people get in contact with you? If you can share with us your points, and then I will note that at the beginning of the podcast so people can go in and
sure.
find you.
So number one place is my website, which is spaceinbetween.com.au. Then I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is Sarah Space in Between, and Facebook is The Space in Between. So they are the main places of contact, where on my website, if you're interested in learning about upcoming things, just sign up to the newsletter, and that's where I share the main things, which I think sometimes is a bit easier than social media, where algorithms change and we don't see everything all the time.
Yes, no, I love getting your newsletter.
Oh, that's lovely to hear.
Well, thank you so much for being here, shining and sharing everything that you do. It's been lovely to hear about it, and quite exciting to be here listening, and hopefully, well, I know it's going to unfold, and I wish you all the greatest abundance with everything that you do.
Thank you so much. It's been so good to connect with you, and I've loved our chat today, and hello to everyone that has been listening.
Yes, thank you. You take care, and again, I'm sure we'll be in contact, and like to hear if you're going to launch anything new, let us know, and I can share that out here on this.
I will. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.
Lots of love. Bye.